Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. I don't know if you remember, maybe you were in a coma, when Bush got heat for standing on the deck of an aircraft carrier with a big sign behind him that said mission accomplished. Do you remember this? And everybody on the left said, how could you possibly do that? It's not accomplished. All you've done is destabilize the Middle East. Remember? Mission isn't accomplished, not until democracy takes hold. Well, today is a historic day. They're claiming, the press and the left, that democracy is happening. I found it so ironic as I was watching the press coverage today that standing behind one of the reporters had this sign in the square behind him. Mission accomplished. No. Chaos has begun. This is the beginning. What they started today is the beginning of God knows what. What's between today and a stable government is anyone's guess. Hello, America. Less than 24 hours ago, the president of Egypt said, I'm going to stay on until September. And now he has stepped down. And he handed power to the military, which is the best possible outcome for this disaster. I don't know what happens from here, but the experts are celebrating this as a victory for freedom. No, well, maybe you got rid of a dictator today. But what happens tomorrow? Be careful that you're not too hung over to deal with tomorrow. Predictably, President Obama spoke out on this today and said this.
There are very few moments in our lives where we have the privilege to witness history taking place. This is one of those moments. This is one of those times. The people of Egypt have spoken, their voices have been heard, and Egypt will never be the same.
The president was very happy about it, as you can see in just the first few seconds of that clip. There's a lot to be said on that. Maybe we'll get into it next week. But if you just want to look at the surface, that Mubarak is gone, if that is how deep you're willing to go, well, congratulations, you have a future in the mainstream media. But just like them, you're going to miss the real story. There's a lot more to it than just this utopian storyline being fed to you right now, that it's just the average 1776 loving, Thomas Jefferson kind of guy out there in the street that just wants change. Really, is it? While the media cheers, they are completely oblivious to the fact that socialist, communist, and extreme Islamicists all working together in Egypt to bring this about, along with the amazing technology and help of Google. The New York Times, albeit unwittingly, confirmed this. They further proved that point. Please explain this story to them and then to your friends as well. It's on the front page of yesterday's Times. But they didn't find anything bothersome about communist and extreme Islam working together for democracy in Egypt. I mean, you'd think that the reporters there would say, wait a minute, extreme Islam, communist, democracy, which one doesn't belong here? Why are they working together? Really? They're working together because they all see one thing. And I'm going to show you the communists that are in support of what happened. They both agree with one thing, and that is the end of the Western way of life.
We're building a revolutionary party with one idea in mind, that the same phenomena that happened in Egypt will actually happen in the United States.
Revolution now! This is what we need more of in America. We have to help bring this government down. We have to help destroy this system, the destruction of what we call the United States of America.
I've been a revolutionary for, over 25 years. Why don't we try and bring down our own government? The warmongers and the cutters. Let's do that.
Capitalism and its corporate class backbone, but privilege and elitism can and must be challenged.
This is about a global struggle against imperialism and capitalism.
Nothing fundamentally good's going to happen for people unless and until that imperialist capitalist system is overthrown. We think we can bring forward a revolutionary people numbering in the millions.
Every single country would go revolutionary, one after the other, after the other, after the other.
Socialism as a transition stage to a full communist classless society.
Fight and defeat U.S. imperialism. Prepare for revolution in the United States.
You can say all of this is crazy talk, and you can continue to deny it. How much time did the media spend on trying to understand the Tea Party? But no one will try to understand the people you just saw. Some of them are with Code Pink. Some of them are with the Young Communist League. Both groups are under the umbrella of one nation, working together. For what? That's why the president, I think, looked so happy today when he smiled and said, "Very rarely do you see this." Because I believe the president and his allies, two of them right there, from this montage, two of the president's allies are for this revolution in America. And I believe the president encouraged this kind of thinking yesterday in a speech. Watch.
We are witnessing history unfold. It's a moment of transformation that's taking place because the people of Egypt are calling for change. And they've turned out in extraordinary numbers representing all
Listen
ages
to the way he says this.
and all walks of life. But it's young people who've been at the forefront. A new generation. Your generation, who want their voices to be heard.
Okay, I have been called a madman for first saying that they are all working together, which again, confirmed by the New York Times and now the Wall Street Journal as well. And I'm also have been called a nut job because I said that and the last piece over here. Let me show this to you real quick. The last piece over here, I said the radicals, Islamists, communists, and socialists would work together against Israel, and they would work together against capitalism. They've done this, and they've done this. Now here's part two. Part two, the protests become contagious. They cascade, sweep the Middle East, and begin to destabilize Europe and the rest of the world. This is next. Now remember, I have been called a madman for saying that, but let me play Joe Biden's words today.
What is at stake in Egypt and across the Middle East is not just about Egypt alone. It will not just touch Egypt alone. It's a vivid demonstration of the transformative times in which we live.
Okay, transformative times. Basically, what you saw a few minutes ago, what Joe Biden just said, let me paint it a little more vividly, but use the words of the high school teacher in Los Angeles. Here it is.
This is about a global struggle against imperialism and capitalism. If you want to bring a little bit more of a revolutionary context to this, why is it that these people, these frail, racist, white people, want to keep us out of this country?
No, you got the wrong sound. It's the last part where he says it's going to happen here and over and over and over again, cascading. Now, back to the people in Egypt. The media is also completely oblivious to the fact that the socialist and communist and extreme Islamicists are now at a fork in the road. Great, you got Mubarak out. That's what they wanted. But now what? You know, I know we're stealing this idea from South Park, and it was about underpants, but basically this is the process. This is what you're expected to believe is a good thing. Here they are. They've overthrown the government. And they're about to have a constitution that will lead to prosperity. What happens here? This is July 4th, 1776. This is 1791. What happens in stage 2? So you have all of these socialist, communist, extreme Islam, and they have all agreed we want to overthrow the government. Now what? Now what? Well, don't worry. There are powerful and well-moneyed global forces that would sure like to help them decide. Here are the words coming from one of those sources. Iranian President today, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, on the uprising in Egypt. We will soon see a new Middle East materializing without America and the Zionist regime, and there will be no room for world arrogance, the West, in it. They, the United States, have adopted a friendly face, and they say, we are friends of the people of North Africa and Arab countries, but we will be watchful and united. You will be victorious, but your path of resistance is a lengthy one. Your path of resistance is a lengthy one. 1776 to 1791. So we know it's going to be long, and we know they're going to help, and they're going to help the people win. But win what? Well, the Iranian state media wrote this today about the uprisings. Death to Israel. Death to the U.S. Islam is my religion. We don't want American rulers. We are not afraid of martyrdom. Are these slogans familiar to the ears and eyes of the world? Aren't these slogans the same that Iranian people chanted in the run-up to the Islamic Revolution? The answer is yes. And by the way, dates are important in the Middle East. Today is the 32nd anniversary of the Iranian Revolution. It started with democracy and students. A month later, the Ayatollah Khomeini came off the plane. Look at this picture from the IR rally today. Down with the U.S. Extreme Islam. They want freedom. No, what they want is an Islamic nation. So Egypt has hit that fork in the road, and we are at the very beginning of the long battle as each tries to grab power. All of these other countries are still on the verge of the working phase. That's what they're doing. Every other country is still in the one nation working together. Joe Biden called it a historic day, and he's right. But it will be historic because this is an incredibly well-organized uprising that was able to overthrow a dictator of 30 years in 18 days. To give you some idea, shock and awe lasted about that time. That's what it took us to grab Baghdad. These other countries, Jordan, Sudan, Libya, Algeria, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Yemen. Do you think this is going to encourage them? You bet.